go and sleep for some time? Why don't you go and take rest for some time? Guru's immediate reaction was, look, in my younger days, I had taken a commitment. The commitment was, I will not rest in the afternoons. Now, don't ask me to break that commitment of mine. But Gandhiji tells him, your health. Yes, I don't want to take rest because I'll be breaking my commitment. What do we understand from this? A great Guru believed in commitment. Friends, if you believe in your commitment, the commitment that the God has given me a wonderful opportunity, and I should make use of this opportunity, and I should become a good human being. That's the commitment. If you have that commitment, I don't think you need to look back, and you will be as successful as a good human being and successful as a judge. With this, friends, and before I close, I have one small a song which my mother used to sing for me when I was young. It's beautiful. It's in Hindi. I think most of you must be knowing Hindi, but I'll still translate that Hindi version and I'll tell you. I think that great mother made a small human being like me to a good personality. It starts like this. Thora man darpan kehlaye. Thora man darpan kehlaye. Your heart is your mirror. Your heart is your mirror. भले बुरे सारे कर्मों को देखे और दिखलाए. It sees, that is, heart sees and reflects all your good and bad deeds. Man hi devata, man hi Ishwar. Man hi devata, man hi Ishwar. Heart is God, heart is the divine spirit. Man hi devata, man hi Ishwar. Man se bada na koi. There is no bigger force than your heart. Man ujjara jab jab pale, jag ujjara hoy. Whenever the heart spreads light, the world is brightened. Look at this. Whenever the heart spreads light, the world is brightened. Is ujle darpan par dur, is ujle darpan par dul na padna paaye. Beware of not allowing this shining mirror to gather dust. That means to say, on that beautiful heart, which is something like a mirror, don't put the dust on that mirror. Sukhi kalyan, dukhi kante, man sabka aadhar. Sukhi kalyan, dukhi kante, man sabka aadhar. The heart is the basis of everything. The blossoms of joy and the thorns of sorrow. Man se koi baat chupe, na man ke nain hazare. Nothing can be hidden from the heart because it has 1,000 eyes. Please remember, you can hide anything, but you can't hide from your heart. Jag se chahiye bag le koi, man se bag na paaye. You may run away from this world, but not from your heart. You may run away from this world, but not from your heart. Thora man darpan kehlaye. Your heart is your mirror. Your heart is your mirror. Your heart is your man. Thank you, friends. I think if I have taken a little more time, please pardon me. Thank you. All the best in life.
We are very much grateful to Lordship for the kind words given to the judicial officers. In fact, 3 H's is very much necessary as His Lordship speaks honesty, humility and hard work, and to remove the negativity and to have a positivity. We assure Lordship, this academy is committed to at least implement your advice, and we will definitely we'll remember your Lordship for your kind words. And really, through the stories, many things have been told to us. We are very much grateful, Lordship. Now I request my Lord, Honourable Mr. Justice Deepak Mishra, Judge Supreme Court, may kindly address the participants. My Lord.
Honorable Justice Dattu, Judge, Supreme Court of India, Justice Goel, Honorable Chief Justice of High Court of Orissa, Honorable Judges of the High Court of Orissa, Justice Pusti, the Chairman of State Administrative Tribunal, my young friends in fraternity. You must have realized by now Justice Dattu is fundamentally partial in his affection, because what he had told you about me, that only indicates that he can be personally in affection, not otherwise, meaning thereby you can like each other as far as your individual affection is concerned, but not in your public perception. You see, people used to tell me that I was a storyteller, but today I have been totally floored by this kind of luminous stories which I really can't conceive of. But I have a job to do. I come to speak to my young friends. You see, this is a garland. You add more flowers, it can be further garlanded beautifully or may not be beautifully. I try my best to add some beauty to it. Honorable Justice Dattu Sahab said, the author asked to say A, B, C, D, then asked his Lordship to stop. From there I'll take off. This is not meant for, we exclude the front rows always. It's for young people, for my friends. I, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I. I may mean anything, but what was told to you, when you go to a temple, you don't say Aham Ganapati, just you delete Aham. Aham means when you say, I said this, I did this, I wrote this judgment, I, perpendicular I. Every judicial officer is required to delete from his dictionary this perpendicular I, which means Aham. You have to delete it. Second aspect which was highlighted by Honorable Justice Dattu Sahab was A, B, C, D. B for birth, D for death, but C for constructive work. Now, let's try to connect it with our ancient philosophy. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in Gita, Abhyaktadani Bhaktani Madhya Bhaktyani Bharata. Where you have come from, you do not know. Where you shall go, you do not know. You only know when you exist. When you exist, you try to live. When you try to live, you function. But when you function, you work. That is why Gita is a pure philosophy which every judge must try to learn and apply throughout his life. That is why Vyakta Madhyani Bharata, that is the only which is visible. And that visible part has to be followed by every judge. Third thing, my lord told through a story, really impressive. Had I been taking a class, I would have asked you a question. Now it's a different kind of a talk. I don't know how many of you are married. I'm not asking a question. Supposing you are having your lunch, sumptuous lunch, your wife will ask you, what do you like to have dinner? What is your stock answer? I presume, whatever you make, because you are not in a position to answer. What does it mean? You don't want to make a choice. You don't want to take a decision. I'm connecting with domestic lunch or dinner, whatever it is. As a judicial officer, you are expected constitutionally to take decisions every day, every hour, every moment. Decisions which you avoid in private life is different, but the decisions here you are obliged to take. And that is why the decision-making process is a great aspect in a judicial life and the most difficult aspect. You can avoid your wife, but not the public. My Lord has spoken about punctuality or the timely functioning of the court. I always tell people, this country, a great one, is governed by a rule of law. And when you do not sit in court, anyone, including me, which means all of us, if you do not sit on time, punctually, you violate rule of law, which is the basic feature of the Constitution. Please ask your conscience. Am I here to work or am I here to violate the rule of law? That will be a question. Ask your conscience. What is your answer? The fifth thing which my Lord highlighted, the mother singing a song to a son, is it? Darpan. Don't dust it. What does it mean? If you take it as a story, it's a story. If you take it as a moral, it's a moral. But you should and must take it as a principle. Principle hidden is, all of us are hypocrites. If I ask everyone, none of you will stand that I am not a hypocrite. Many French authors have written books about hypocrisy and died. That yes, we are hypocrites. Hypocrites we may be, but we should not be self-hypocrites. There is a distinction between hypocrisy and self-hypocrisy. I'll give an example as far as judges are concerned. I don't know a proposition of law myself, but I pretend to others, yeah, I know. That is hypocrisy. But when I pretend to myself, yes, I know. Deepak Mishra, whom are you pretending to? You are pretending to yourself. So self-pretense is self-hypocrisy. Any of judicial officer who wants to be a serious judicial officer, wants to make a life, a mark, must avoid at all times self-hypocrisy. Now, you are in a judicial academy. I'll quickly read through what I had composed in my humble way, which has some kind of connectivity with the judicial academy and the trainees. A judicial academy has the responsibility to legally educate. I hope they are doing it. Impart concrete training, sharpen the intellect of the judicial officers, envision the trainees, acquaint with them with the changing pattern of law and the legal principles, sensitize them to the burning socio-legal issues and ingrain in them judicial etiquettes. You know why I tell them? The young officers, I have noticed, at least in 4 states, sometimes are not in a position to show proper etiquette to the seniors. And seniors also do not treat them affectionately, properly. A concept of loco parentis by the district judges or the chief judicial magistrates who are here and the young officers, a fatherly figure, a teacherly figure, and a learner, a trainer. He can't guide your morality. He can't guide your ethicality. Ethicality is universal. He can ask you to do a wrong. But definitely, etiquette, civility, politeness have to be maintained. Intercollegiality is the first and foremost function of our judicial system. For God's sake, never create a dent in it. A new entrant to judicial service should have appetite for learning. Are you really hungry for tea, breakfast, water? I am not using the word thirsty deliberately. You must have the hunger for learning, an extremely good temperament. You must have a sense of cultivation of knowledge. How do you cultivate knowledge? Unless you accept that you don't know, here you are to have training. I have seen many trainings. I'm saying with responsibility, most of the time when the trainers are there, teachers are there, the higher officers are there to take a class on a particular specific subject, they try to doze off. That's not permissible. I always tell people, you must have a curiosity to know. Unless you have that kind of curiosity, you do not get improvement in your intellect. Ask questions. That is why a job of a judge while learning has to ask pariprasna, time and again he has to question, to learn and to digest, to understand, to appreciate and then pen. Last time when I was here, I had told that it's the duty of every judge as well as a lawyer. No lawyer is here and meant for judges. I mean high court judges also, and mean myself. We do not read the judgments from A to Z. Then how do we understand the ratio? This kind of faults occur because some of us read the hand notes. The young souls behind, please don't read the hand notes. Read the full judgment. Am I clear to you, ma'am? Whoever there, please read the judgments in entirety to understand what the High Court has spoken and what the Supreme Court has laid down. But that's a fault I have noticed in many, and that's where the mistakes do occur. You see, during a period of training, you shall be told many aspects of ethics which are absolutely imperative for the judicial officers, because ethicality of character and behavior are the sine qua non for sustaining one's judicial conduct. A judicial officer who maintains the higher standard of morality which is expected of him earns social respectability. His image becomes a motto. You see, you will be working on the front. You are our ground reality faces. That is why I always call a judicial magistrate. A magistrate is the speaking law, and law is the silent magistrate. I repeat, magistrate is the speaking law and law is the silent magistrate. That's why I would like to say, you are our captains. I am not calling you commander-in-chief or generals because you are our captains. I would have normally asked you why I am calling you captains. You must have heard of this man called Lincoln. When Lincoln died, Which man wrote a poem in agony, my captain lies dead here. You are the captains of the judiciary, and if your faces get solid and the image is spoiled, the whole infrastructure gets lost. Because you are at the ground reality level, justice delivery system level. You see, sometimes I have noticed, please don't criticize me after I go. Sometimes I have noticed the judicial officer's answer in the academy is, it's in my nature. A judicial officer is debarred to say, it is in my nature. There is a passage which I quote. If his individual nature doesn't fit into the institutional character and philosophy, he has to change his nature and cultivate a habit that is institutional. It is to be kept in mind. There is a man called Wellington. He said, habit is 10 times nature. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Prakriti Nainam Muchan. It's wrong. The man's nature doesn't change. Man can change his nature by cultivation, by cultivating the habit. That is